All right, folks, along with National Geographic, my next guest was involved in one of the most incredible discoveries of all time, a 500-year-old mummy, which was frozen and preserved beyond scientists' wildest dreams. Please welcome a woman to tell us all about this incredible find, the Mummy Lady, Amy Ray. Now, first of all, because this is pretty amazing, tell us what we just saw right now, the footage. Tell us about this mummy. Who is this mummy?
This was a 15-year-old Inca girl who was taken to the top of Mount Ampato in southern Peru and sacrificed to the mountain god.
So she was sacrificed to a god, killed, died there, and then how did she get preserved? I mean, it's 500 years later, and it's an incredible... Actually, I've read that the cloth that she was wearing and the clothes she was wearing are still perfectly intact.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they killed her, and they buried her actually on the summit in a burial platform. So she was preserved there, you know, as if in a freezer for 500 years.
Okay.
So her body's preserved, and all of her clothing is completely intact.
So this is a great scientific find. You can find out a lot of things about how people used to live and everything. But how did you find this person? Who found the mummy, actually? Was the mummy... Did they have to dig and find the mummy? Where was the mummy? It's
kind of an amazing story. High-altitude archaeologist Johann Reinhardt decided to climb up to Mount Ampato. Now, Mount Ampato has always been covered by a permanent snow cap. But in the last couple of years, a nearby volcano has been erupting and laying ash down on the slope and melted the ice cap.
So the ice that was there for literally 500 years...
As long as we know, it's always been covered. And suddenly... It wasn't.
So someone was just walking along and like bumped into this mummy, like just sitting on the ground.
Basically, that's what happened. Johann was up there. He thought, well, I've never been up there. I'll check it out. And as he was climbing near the summit, on the slopes, just below the summit, he saw a bundle literally out on the slopes.
Just sitting there, and it had been there for 500 years.
Nope.
Good for Johann. Good for him.
No, in fact, recently the burial platform had collapsed, and she had tumbled out on the slope. And it's incredibly lucky that he just happened to be up there. Incredibly unlikely that he happened to be up there, stumbled upon this mummy, picks it up. He realized immediately that it was a mummy. Picks it up.
And he knew it had been dead a long time. He didn't like try to revive it or anything. He knew that. He wasn't like, I think we can save it. Come on, live, damn it, live.
No, she was very, very dead. A little tiny bundle.
I'm sorry. Now, human sacrifice, this was part of the culture back then.
Yes, it was.
And so they thought this girl was probably honored to die. I've always read that whenever someone was going to be sacrificed, it was a great honor, which I don't get, you know what I mean? I'd be like, that's okay. This person, I'll step aside.
The thing is, you had to be beautiful. You had to be had to be unblemished in every way, physically, and also no bad habits, nothing like that. You really had to be the creme de la creme. Oftentimes, noble families would offer their children because, you know, you got to give the most perfect gift to God. You can't give something substandard to God. So really the most perfect specimens of the society were given
so I'd have been safe, pretty much, we've established.
I think so.
Good, all right. Now, you do, in another film that you've been working on, Mr. Mummy. Is that right? Is the name of it? You guys are getting a little crazy with the titles. This is a movie where you talk about Egyptian mummies, is that right?
That's right.
Now, what's the difference between this mummy and the mummy that everybody always talks about, the Egyptian mummy? What's the essential difference? Basically,
the Inca mummy is a natural mummy. She just was left on a mountaintop. She froze. The body was preserved just naturally by usually it's either frozen or just from dryness. They are naturally preserved.
Right.
Now, the Egyptians took mummification to a whole new level. They wanted to preserve the body for the afterlife, because it was actually this body that you took into the afterlife.
They believed you actually had to use your body in the afterlife.
Own body, so it better be in good shape.
So what did they do to the bodies?
Well, the main thing they had to do is remove all of the moist tissues, because you had to take out all the organs, the intestines, and they left the heart, because that's the seat of wisdom, but everything else they removed. But the thing that was the most tricky, because you had to have the body as perfect as you possibly could, was to remove the brain. Because how do you get the brain out without putting some kind of unattractive hole in your head?
How do you get the brain out unless you make a hole in the skull?
Exactly. So what they did, they came up with something very ingenious.
They got David Copperfield. I'll never do that again. I apologize. Go ahead. How do you get the brain out?
They would take something like an ice pick, put a hole through one nostril, right into the brain. Then they'd put a hole through the other. So you had two holes into the brain. And then they would take a long curved wire and sort of thread it in through the nostril and stir.
Wait, stir up the brain?
Stir up the brain and kind of break it up.
Right.
And then they'd pour a little bit of water in and they'd stir it up some more to liquefy it. And then they would turn you over and basically it would just drain right out.
Yeah.
Leaving a...
Yeah. This is real big. Yeah, as you can see, this is real big at college fraternities right now. Kids love it.
At home.
Yeah.
Kids are like,
let's go take our brains out our noses, man.
Yeah.
So, kids love it.
Yeah.
And then, and that's pretty much it.
Right. That basically leaves a perfectly preserved, perfectly intact, beautiful body to take into the afterlife.
With no messy cleanup.
No messy cleanup.
All right. It sounds like an infomercial. Get yours today. All right. It's the National Geographic's Mummy Hunters, actually, and it's this Sunday at 9 on TBS, and it's very fascinating. Amy Ray, thank you very much for coming, talking to us about it. Nice to see you. Best of luck. We'll take a break, everybody. We'll be right back. Stick around.
Weird condition, you know? Hey, how come they call it a Safeway? I mean, how dangerous can shopping actually be? You know, like they're implying that every other supermarket...
Okay, folks, that's our show for the night. I want to thank all my guests. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.
You don't know how to operate canned food, and, you know, stay out of the shower. Right? Oh, God, anything. Okay.